So what is the key to MedTech success in 2024? In this video, I'm going to share with you some things you should do before your next sales call to set the tone for the year to maximize sales growth and blow quota out of the water. Hi, I'm Mace. The key to MedTech success in 2024 is being relevant. And you can't be relevant by playing it safe. In MedTech sales, everybody says to get out there and talk about your product with every healthcare prospect you can and ask for the business. Well, I stand against that. It makes you a commodity sales rep. And I say if you want to be relevant, you need to forget about the product and focus on the healthcare professional and the patient. Now, don't worry, you're going to get a chance to talk about your product at the right moment. And you can't play it safe in sales by trying to make the prospect comfortable with your non-pushy sales approach. In fact, you need to make them a bit uncomfortable if you want to improve your chances of getting the sale. Most MedTech reps, in other words, the majority, will tell you that they sell effectively and believe there is nothing for them to do to improve. That's fantasy. You see, the reality is that very few can execute when they're in the pressure of the moment with a key healthcare prospect. The reason is because you're out there selling every day, and therefore you might reason that anything you do every day as a professional, such as making sales calls, talking to healthcare professionals, you must be good at. Well, let me give you an example from my life. Something non-sales related, but definitely related. I'm a private pilot, and during my MedTech sales career, I'd fly 4 or more days a week. You see, I believe my skills were at the top of the game. In aviation parlance, we call that keeping current. Now, every 2 years, private pilots have to do a flight review with a certified flight instructor. I always expected it to be a breeze because, after all, I was doing it all the time. Here's the reality. We'd start the flight review with a ground session, nice and comfortable, sitting on the ground, just chatting, me and the instructor, going over regulations, charts, and maps. And the instructor would hit me with, so what would you do in this situation type of question. And with those questions, I'd get about 90% of them right, but I'd miss about 10%, just enough to get into trouble with the FAA if I wasn't paying attention, or worse, enough for something bad to happen. And bad things can happen in airplanes. Then we'd go flying. And I thought this was going to be the easy part because I was super confident. I did this almost every day, just as you work in your territory every day. Well, the instructor didn't test me on the things I did every day. He tested me on the things that rarely or never happen, like an engine failure on takeoff. That'll get your attention. Or recovering from unusual attitudes, which is where the instructor has you close your eyes and he puts the airplane in a steep bank or a climb or a descent, and then he says, hey, open your eyes and bring it back to straight and level flight while flying on instruments. Not as easy as it sounds if you don't practice it. He'd even cover some of the instruments to simulate an instrument failure during critical moments of flight. If you can't do it during practice, you won't be able to do it when the proverbial shit hits the fan, or if we're talking airplanes, the propeller. I know that's an ugly picture. Here's the point. You have critical moments of the sale where if you're not prepared, you could not only lose the sale, but leave a negative impression with the customer about your product or about you, and that could take years to undo. The same thing happens to attendees during my live training workshops or online training. You see, medical sales reps, just like you, they come in pretty confident and cocky, which they should be because many are doing well. They can answer the questions about sales strategies and tactics, how doctors and other customers think, and how to properly handle tough situations. But then I put them in a realistic selling situation, kind of like my flight instructor did with me, and almost none of them can do what they said they do when selling once you turn up the heat. They fumble, they stutter and stammer, and then reality sets in. They'll present an aspect of their product, and I'll ask, how is that relevant to the prospect? And most will say, well, it's relevant because it's a great product and it can help them and the patient. But here's the important question. Does the doctor or other healthcare customer know that? You can't assume. You need to make it relevant. How? By changing their thinking, not by playing it safe and assuming they'll process the information the way you want them to. Here's the good news. It takes just a few minutes of going over a skill and a minute or two of practice to get reps back on track and have them move forward with a prospect by taking control of the sales call instead of just playing it safe. Ask yourself these questions. What were the target accounts that didn't convert like you had hoped? Analyze them. How did you present to those accounts? What is it that you want to happen? Did you challenge their thinking, or did you just play it safe? How will you alter the strategy this year to make it happen? Ask yourself, how can you expand business with your best customers from last year? I know it's kind of weird. We don't think about growing with the people we already have, but a lot of times they're your best opportunities. But you have to think about it. Where are there new opportunities to grow? One of the best ways to identify opportunities is to review specific strategies and tactics you can apply to sell various products and services. This sparks ideas. For example, if you review a tactic for overcoming dismissive or difficult customers, you might think, I could use this with Dr. Charles or XYZ Hospital. And you want to make sure you get tactical. You see, tactics are what you do and say in the field during sales calls and in between. If you want better results than you had last year, you need to refine and upgrade your tactical sales approach. And here's an important question. Do you know where your weaknesses are? Do you know where your competitors' weaknesses are and how to exploit those weaknesses in a way that your product and you stand out? Do you know how to give those accounts who've been sitting on the fence a gentle push so that they'll take action on evaluating your product? Or are you just planning to play it safe? Where are the missed opportunities in your territory? Have you gone through each account and each stakeholder to identify opportunities and strategize how to initiate a sales process? And speaking of a sales process, what's yours? Look at it, examine it. Is it working? How can you make it better? Look, I know I'm asking lots of questions and you may be struggling with the answers. I can't give you all the answers in this short video, which is why I created a free 90-minute training session where I cover the essentials of medical selling in today's complex and challenging healthcare sales environment. It's called Navigating the 7 Pillars of Medical Sales, Closing the Gaps for Predictable Success. And if you've attended it in the past, I strongly encourage you to attend again here at the new year or whenever you're starting to take control of your territory. But I want to say this with confidence of over 40 years in this industry. You have gaps in your sales approach. Everyone does. And that's okay. Unless you don't know what those gaps are and you just ignore them. In 90 minutes, I'll show you how to sell more in less time to even highly resistant healthcare professionals. You can learn more about this essential training session that is completely free, by the way, by going to medicalsalesedge.com. I'll put the link in the written description below this video or in the comments. You can learn how it's going to help you and sign up for a session that's convenient to you and your schedule. The key to succeeding at anything in business, and in life for that matter, is to not pass up the opportunities that present themselves to you. You have 2 right now. 1, you have a new year. 2, you have a free training session to open your eyes and to take your business to the next level. It's smart to continue to do things that are working. It's even smarter to add strategies and tactics that will get you more sales and happier customers. I encourage you to take this opportunity presented by the new year and to use it to your advantage. And whether this will be a good year, an average year, or a year that sucks, you get to decide that right now. Or you can play it safe. I'm Mace.